Well, I'm back. So this is kind of a reunion trip for me. It's been a couple years since I hosted The Next Bite, and I'm kind of excited about this trip because I get to introduce a brand new crankbait from Berkeley. Fishing today with one of the young guns out on the National Walleye circuit, Matt Schiefelbein. Matt was actually the Rookie of the Year last year out on the circuit, so really a good fisherman. But I've decided to come out here to one of my favorite places to fish in the fall, and that's Lake Erie. It's an area where the fish like to hang out and stage in the fall. The reason I picked this is because there's just a lot of fish out here, and we're just coming out here to have some fun with that new crankbait. So we're going to get out on the water, we're going to find some fish, we're going to throw out our offshore planter boards, we're going to run that new crankbait down, we're going to show you how to get the next bite.
With the return of Keith to The Next Bite, he brought with him both big waves and new baits. Keith and Gary have a storied career designing and developing fish-catching baits, with the final testing done all across the country on actual fish. Although Keith is not hosting as many episodes of The Next Bite, the bait design and tournament fishing has not stopped. He was so excited to share this new bait, he grabbed Matt Schiefelbein and a camera guy and headed to Lake Erie to do one final test run on the new deep hit stick.
When you're out fishing and you see walleyes come up and hit that middle hook, that means they're biting pretty aggressively.
There is nothing better than Lake Erie in the fall when the fish are being aggressive and feeding heavily.
Inside, inside.
Yep.
Oh, I saw him. He's a good one.
Oh yeah, looks like a nice one.
Barely hooked.
All right, here he comes.
Yeah, nice fish.
There it is.
That's a really nice
yeah.
fish. And you could just kind of tell when this bite was, the thing just kind of squatted back and stayed there.
All right, we'll get him back in here.
Watch the waves out there, young man. Okay, trolling on Lake Erie in the fall. These fish want to eat, but they're going to be a little sluggish, so you got to slow down your trolling speeds. I like hanging around that 1.4, 1.5 miles an hour. Now, when you get out in big waves like this, part of the problem with that is that boat will really race forward down the waves and then stall and then go. And you might think that'd be good. It would kind of jig those lures back there or kind of move them back and forth, but it really doesn't. So what I like to do is, first of all, reduce the surge. And the way that I do that is I use my power paddle. I simply lower it down in the water, and that surface area will actually smooth out all that surging, so you get a much more straight pull down there. The other thing it's going to do is allow you to slow down a little bit. Many times, like in this wave, if I was just even drifting, I'd probably be going a little bit too fast. So when you're trolling in the fall, you want to slow down, you want to reduce that surge so that those walleyes can track the lure and get you more bites. Look at this inside board.
Oh, yep.
I think that's one.
Yeah, it sure looks like it.
Boy, it's hard to read that.
I know.
These waves are just, I don't know what's wrong with these fish. They just seem to be grabbing and swimming along with it. Doesn't feel like much, does he?
No, not very big. You never know, though.
I don't know, he's getting bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's bigger. I can see him right at the next one.
Oh yeah, he looks like a pretty nice one.
I was just going to flip him in, but I think we'll just net this one. It's a decent one.
There we go.
Yeah, a lot bigger than
Yeah. He fooled us the whole way in.
Well, sometimes in this wind, you know, go ahead and grab him there. Sometimes in this wind, it's just,
so hard
it just
to tell.
doesn't, it's hard to tell. You don't see the initial strike because the boards are always surging back and forth. And
You got some pliers I can use quick. Oh, there we go.
I just realized, you know, that board's just hanging back a little bit more than the other two. Kind of had all the hooks in his mouth.
Hungry one.
Fatty,
Oh, yeah.
And that's what happens this time of year. They start putting on that weight, but
Yeah.
we'll put her back. Let her grow big. We need bigger ones.
We're looking
yeah?
for 7 to 10 pounders.
There we go. He'll swim away.
Oh yeah, there he goes.
Perfect.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Schaefer's Specialized Lubricant. Putting equipment first. Nitro Boats. Performance Fishing Boats. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Power Pole. Total Boat Control. Closed captioning for the next bite is provided by Precision Trolling Data, the authority for crankbait diving depth information. When trolling the basin on Lake Erie, one might think that you just put the rods in the holder and troll in a straight line for miles.
It's the beautiful thing about making turns out here when you get them on the right side.
Ooh, I got
There we
him.
go.
But look at how chunky fat they are.
I know.
When fishing with a guy like Keith, there's actually a lot going on. Messing with lure depth, snap weights, lure colors, and speed, all while watching the graph for what depth he is seeing the fish at. These are all things that will help you put more fish into your boat before the end of the day.
One thing we do while trolling is we try to utilize S-turns. Essentially, an S-turn is taking the boat and turning it at an aggressive, call it a 45-degree angle. And what that's going to do is that's going to make one side of the boat, it's going to make that side pull hard, and it's going to make the inside almost stall and stop. And what that does, it gives you a stop and go. It makes the baits do something a little different other than just pulling straight. And in waves, you get some of that herky-jerky, but that's not that stop and go that you get with an S-turn. Some refinements to doing S-turns is we like to use snap weights a lot when we're trolling. And what that snap weight does is it lets you shorten your length of line that you have out, where if you were just long lining and you've had hundreds of feet out, and when you do those S-turns, the baits don't react as much to those S-turns because you have a lot more line out. With that snap weight, you're achieving a lot less line out, and that helps you when reeling in fish. You don't have to reel in as much line, and also it helps that bait react a little more when you do those S-turns. So remember to try to utilize those S-turns when you're trolling anywhere, and hopefully you can get more bites. Oh,
Are you
there's
gonna
one
let that one go
outside.
back? I just saw it too.
I know.
I saw it turn around.
God,
I'm like,
that thing buried the
that was
board.
pretty far back.
Yeah, that one buried it pretty good.
yeah, it's just swung all the way around. Yeah. How's he feeling?
Still feels pretty good. Getting
Pretty
closer to
good,
the boat
good.
now.
All right, right over the motor to get the boat, huh? Board.
Got to make you work a little bit, Keith.
He does feel a little heavy. Oh, what line do you got out right now?
It's 120 total. It's 2100.
Just making sure. I mean, the last thing you want to do is fight a bigger fish for 10 minutes or something like that. I think even though the baits could dive down 25 on their own, just being able to shorten up that line
Cheetah with a
is
lot less line.
really nice. Oh, yeah. He looks like a big old fatty. I'm actually going to get on the back deck for you. Big old fatty. Come on, girl.
Come on.
What has he got?
I think here she comes.
He's got another line.
There we go.
We still got look at the size of that thing. We got a bait, we got a fish, we got a snap weight. We got it all here.
Oh my God.
Look at the size of that thing.
Look at the gut on that
Woo.
fish.
Take him out here and go ahead and grab him. I'll kind of clear some of the stuff for you. That is a nice fish there.
Yes, it is.
We got net, we got snap weight, we got the whole shebang here. I just put that color out a little bit ago, remember?
Yeah, you did.
That blue chrome is out. It turned sunny, and it just, a lot of times sunny is blue,
Sunny
that blue
and chrome.
with the gold
Go
orange
together.
belly. Look at the belly.
The belly on that fish. What an awesome fish.
You would think a fish that's obviously been eating that much. I mean, it takes a pretty good crankbait to think, I got to eat that too, you know?
What an awesome fish.
That is beautiful. Well, let's not keep them out too long here.
Get her
them
right
back
back
in the
in.
water there.
Let her go. And there she goes.
total control. Presented by Power Pole. 20 years of trust evolved from Total Boat Control.
When it comes to duck hunting, I think one thing that's really overlooked hunting out of a boat is the use of a GPS in your boat. Because let's face it, 9 times out of 10 when you go duck hunting, you're either going out in the dark or you're coming back in the dark. And a lot of times what you have happen in the fall is you have those cooling temperatures around water, is you get a lot of fog. And the last thing you want to be driving your boat through is the fog in the dark. And so having a GPS to know either where the islands are or where you're going in general, at least to get you to your spot, is very important. At the end of the day, yes, we have our phone, but to have it right in front of us is very important. But secondly, are the trails that you accumulate. Because let's face it, a lot of times you're navigating through cattail marshes, it might be wild rice or cane beds, you know, where you have small trails or openings where you're coming through to get into a pocket. And so knowing those in and out areas very easily, being able to duplicate those in the darkness by just simply following your trail that was made on your GPS also makes life a lot easier. But a nice thing Lowrance also have is a lot of these units come standard with a satellite overlay. And let me tell you, that satellite overlay comes in handy more times than not to see where some of these pockets are that you're trying to get to. So to me, having a GPS on a duck boat is a very important tool, not only for safety, but for navigating in the darkness.
So we've been having a great day here out on Lake Erie, catching lots of fish, and our bait of choice today is a brand new bait from Berkley. It's called a deep hit stick. You can see it's a little bit different than the stick baits we've had in the past. This is an aggressive lure. It's got a much wider wobble, it's got a deeper rattle in it, it's got a bulkier look to it, so it attracts some bigger fish a lot of times. So it's just a much more aggressive bait. But the nice thing about the deep hit stick is when this thing really shines is actually when the water cools down a little bit. If you're fishing in the spring or fall like we are now, this thing, even if you're only trolling at like 1.5 miles an hour, has a great action underwater. Those rattles are just a thumping away, and it really helps attract walleyes. So if you're looking for some alternate choices in stick baits, deep stick baits, this new deep hit stick is unbelievable. Just about sunk the board. I mean, it just ripped it back.
It's always good when first time you notice it, it's right behind the boat.
Yeah, it's right on that inside board, which is really nice because we don't got to worry about any tangles. But I mean, it just torqued it all the way across. I thought it was going to sink the boat a second there. Marking plenty of fish. They actually had slowed down a little bit, but I guess if you're only going to catch one once in a while, make it a good one.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Slow, you're reeling.
I know. Sure
exactly
feels like the right
we
one.
need. Exactly the right thing.
It feels like a nice one. That was 120.
120. Oh boy. I actually lost one of the clips. We were lucky to keep that boat on. Boy, she got her doubled over.
Yeah,
huh?
it does.
That's nice.
This is what you're looking for.
Very nice. 1.5, 1.6 miles an hour. 120 back. 25, 30-foot fish. Oh, it's a good one. I can see it wallowing back there.
Oh yeah, look at it.
I'm gonna have to quick get the net this time. Get the net. Not much time.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
A little further. Just a little further.
Here we go!
And I got it. Chartreuse belly coming
in the net.
Good thing I went after him a little bit out there. I had to use the full extension of the old net there to get him. Look at here, and here's who I'm talking about, that chartreuse belly like that.
Can't help it.
You know, these fish, a lot of them they're sitting down there in 30 feet or so, and they're looking up. They eat in an upward direction, so that belly can make all the difference in the world. Look at how chunky this thing is.
Awesome fish.
He's an awesome one.
The shoulders on these fish out here this time of year.
All right, girl, we'll get you back in there. Thank you very much for fighting. Thank you very much for biting. Goodbye.
So obviously when choosing the color of your crankbait, there are a lot of things to think of. And a big thing, especially for open water trolling, is the color of the bottom of your bait. These fish most of the time are feeding upwards, and we're fishing right above these fish. So these fish are seeing the bottom of the bait first. And in our specific situation here today out on Lake Erie, these bright colors have definitely been the best. The chartreuse or a bright orange have definitely been the best for us. But like I said, all the time these fish are feeding up. So if you're noticing a specific bait that's doing better than the other one, check the color of the bottom and maybe grab a different crankbait that has the same color bottom and try to do the same thing, because these fish feed up. That's the first thing they see. So always remember to take into consideration the color of the bottom of your bait, and hopefully it can get you a few more bites.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Schaefer's Specialized Lubricant. Putting equipment first. Nitro Boats. Performance Fishing Boats. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. Lowrance. The ultimate fishing system. And Power Pole. Total boat control. Hot topics, leading information and tackling techniques to make you a better angler. Presented by Mercury.
When it comes to protecting your investment, boat maintenance is a huge issue. And up here in the north, when it gets to be towards the end of the season, you need to start thinking about winterizing. But one thing that is super important is to make sure that you take your boat into an authorized dealership and have them go through and winterize your engines. One of the things that I like to do, just to ensure that my engines are protected and my fuel system is protected, is I'll start to treat the fuel earlier in the fall. You know, when it gets to be towards the end of October, beginning of November, when you just don't know if you're going to get that weather system that's going to come through, that's going to shut the door on your fishing season. So what this does by adding that treatment on regular intervals in the fall is it ensures that the entire fuel system has been treated and that fuel has gone through the entire engine. That being said, up here in the north, the other piece of the winterizing process that's really important is when it comes to protecting your gear cases. And I highly suggest, once again, an authorized dealership changes your gear lubes at the end of every season. And what that's going to do is that's going to ensure that not only you have fresh lube to start the season off, but it's going to ensure that you don't have any water that can freeze and damage your lower unit. So keep those things in mind when you're stretching the season out like me.
Active target has become one of the most important tools in the boat for an angler casting at fish. One thing you don't hear often is how it can be utilized in a trolling situation.
Right here you can kind of see a fish right there. 32 foot down, it's 45 foot out. But that's one of the things I like to use this active target for, is I can actually point that transducer a little bit off to the side and actually see fish that aren't right under the boat. You'll still want to use your regular sonar and see the fish that are under your boat like these here. But the nice thing is sometimes the boat will actually spook fish down or away and you aren't really marking them. But with the active target, you're actually going to see these fish out here that you might not normally see and really give you an indication whether you should stay or whether you should go.
Gaining more knowledge using your electronics just helps you put baits closer to a fish.
Ooh, here's one right here. Right here. That was kind of a double read there.
Oh yeah.
So this one was out that 2120.
Yep.
So it should put this bait right at those 30-foot fish we're seeing. And it's a good one.
Probably should get the net then, I guess.
Oh yeah. Really good. I always like when we get that off, because then it's just me and the fish. I'm almost thinking we're gonna go to this side over here. Just the way he's kind of,
yeah, he keeps wanting
coming,
to angle
I mean,
this way.
straight behind the boat. I think we can get, especially since I got a youngster in the boat, get out there and get that snap white. He doesn't like the sound of the old kicker either.
No, he does not.
Here he comes.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
That's a big one. Get him. Yeah, get him in here.
There we go.
Yes, that's what we came here for.
Yes, that is a Lake Erie beauty.
You know, we caught a lot of fish today, and this new bait is just working really stellar. But this is a very, very nice fish.
Yes, it is.
Look at that fish. That is a good one there.
That's a Lake Erie beauty.
You know, Erie's changed a little bit over the last few years. You get a lot more of those 4 and 5 pounders, but there's still some really good ones out here in Erie. And I tell you what, we had a great day today. That new lure was just stellar, on fire. And it was just really great fishing with Matt here. I can tell why he's ranked up so high, just the way he moves around the boat, handles the rods. Excellent, excellent job. Well, I'm gonna get this girl back in, and then maybe we'll head for the barn.
Yeah, might as well.
Or maybe we'll fish a little bit more.
We have a few more left in us.
All right, here we go. Let's see if this bad girl swims away. I think it will. Oh yeah, there she goes. All right, here we go. Let's see if this bad girl swims away. I think it will. Oh yeah, there she goes. That's kind of an evil laugh at the end. It was. That's so evil. I just got that thing set up.
Can't even get all our lines in.
Perfect. Perfect.
You need me to clear anything for you, or you think you're good?
I'll probably just reel this inside one in and just set it on the back deck there. I don't think he's a very big one. But I've been fooled, you know.
Yeah. Little whitey.
Whitey McTighty. Everything bites the hit stick.
Oh, it's a fat one too.
Yeah, fatty.
Everything on Lake Erie is pretty fat.